Hello, my beautiful people. It is your girl Ashley Pie, and I'm here with another video. Yes, I'm on camera. I know I have not been on camera in a while, but that's neither here nor there. Before we get started, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and like this video and subscribe to this channel if you are enjoying the content thus far. We're going to hop right into it. I want to talk about tarot cards, and basically, what I want to talk about are some stigmas, fears about tarot, some pros and cons, the reasons why you should do tarot, as well as some tips for myself, a reader, as well as someone who has gotten tarot readings done on myself. Okay, so we're gonna hop right into it. First and foremost, everybody says that tarot is like the devil's game, right? Like it's evil and you're fortune telling and you should not be fortune telling and oh, the devil's gonna get you. I'm here to let you know, stop listening to the media, okay? It is not that at all. Just like any other tool, it's gonna be what you make it, okay? If you go in the kitchen and you grab a knife to cut some tomatoes or something, you're literally just cutting tomatoes, okay? But then on the other hand, if a serial killer goes in the kitchen and grabs a knife, they about to murder somebody. So it's what you do with it is that's what matters, okay? So then the next one kind of falls in the first one with you're connecting with negative energies, you're being misguided. Again, it's all about the intention, the preparation, and what you're doing, which we will definitely talk about a little more. So don't worry. Okay, another one, which was a favorite of mine when I first started doing tarot, right? Is that only certain people can do readings, right? Like gypsies or some crazy looking person in a circus or something. Those are the only people that can do tarot. Da, 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 da. Look at me. Okay, just look at me. Now, let's see. Another stigma, and this one isn't the worst, but it's about every time you get a tarot reading, it is 100% correct. Whatever you hear, whatever it happens in that reading, that is what it is. Bada boom, bada bang. That is absolutely wrong because it depends on who you're going to when you're getting that reading done, and what's happening. If it's yourself and you're just learning, we're going to talk about that as well. So moving on, I just want to kind of throw this side note in here because I always use this example and it doesn't feel right for me not to use it. But if you're watching this video, I would like to assume that you have watched That's So Raven, or you at least know about it. And if you don't know about it, it's basically, it was a show on Disney Channel. Whew, I want to say back in the early 2000s. I grew up on that show. Okay, let's just say that. It was back in the early 2000s, and basically it was Raven Simone, who was a Disney star, and her character in the show would have random visions, and all the visions weren't the best, but basically after she had the random vision, she was either trying to make that vision happen or she was trying to prevent it from happening. But every time she tried to do whatever she tried to do, it happened. It ended up happening. Okay. It's basically the same but a little bit reversed. Now, when it comes to tarot, when you get a reading done or you do a reading, when you know, when like, how can I say this? When a reading is done for you, right? Once you know, that can actually change the outcome. Like it's not 100% set in stone. So, for example, if you are, let's say one of your questions could possibly be something about, are you going to finish school with all A's? If you get a tarot reading that says, yeah, you're going to finish with all A's, that is the reading, right? Your actions play a major role in that. So let's say at the time of the tarot reading, like you got the reading done, it says you're going to get all A's and you're working very hard to get those A's. that reading is confirming, okay, based off of the energies that are showing, based off of everything that's happening, you're gonna get all A's. But if you get that tarot reading, like, okay, you're gonna get all A's, and then you just stop everything you're doing, you have literally changed the future. You have literally said, okay, this is what the reading told me. This is, so I don't have to do anything else. No, it does not mean that you need to stop what you're doing or whatever. The tarot readings are normally based off of the current energies that are kind of running rampant at that time. So energies are fluid, things can change. And if you are working towards something and you want to confirm, if you will, the outcome, tarot readings are very helpful for that. So again, I'm gonna break this down even further in a little bit, but those are like the biggest stigmas that I could think of as far as tarot came about. So again, if you have any, drop them down below. We could talk about them, whatever. I can even do another part to this video. Now, some fears. This is the longest list that I have on my notes, okay? But some fears that are very common when it comes to tarot is getting demonized or possessed, right? And again, back to what I said before, tarot is definitely what you make it. A lot of these stigmas and fears are associated based off of fear. So I, for one, do not watch scary movies. I watched Bird Box when it came out, okay, a couple months after it came out, and I did not leave my place for almost a month, okay? No, I'm lying, I'm exaggerating. It was like a week. But, whatever you choose to believe, that is what it's going to be. So I just want to say it is not demonic. It is not, you're not going to get possessed. Like, don't worry. We're going to talk about the preparation. You just want to make sure you're prepared. Another fear is getting controlled, which I feel kind of goes with the last point. But another thing that comes to mind with getting controlled is being taken advantage of, which is the next one. Okay. So let's just say getting controlled and being taken advantage of. Okay. When it comes to that, tarot is a very intuitive process. So whether you're reading for yourself or you have somebody reading for you, it's very important that you pay attention to your intuition. And for those of you who are not too familiar with your intuition, it's normally just a feeling or, a sensation that it can either rub you the right way or rub you the wrong way. So like watching this video, if you're still watching this video, I'm hoping that I'm rubbing you the right way. I'm hoping your intuition and my intuition are like connecting right now. But there's times where it's just like, you know what? No, this, no. It's like an automatic no. So pay attention to that. And that should definitely help with the fears. If you're having doubts about a situation or a person, if something is just rubbing you the wrong way, or you feel like you need to leave or whatever, pay attention to that. Okay, that should help with the fears. Okay. Another fear is people thinking they have to depend on tarot, like depend on it to live. That is an absolute farce. My first example was talking about a knife in the kitchen. If you don't remember that, I'm going to ask you to rewind. But my very first example was talking about a knife in the kitchen. You don't go about life needing to use a knife for everything, right? You're only going to use a knife for certain things. The same way it is with tarot. You don't need for every decision, you need to run to tarot. You need to do this, you need to do that. I need tarot. No, tarot is a tool. It is not, I want to say it's not a lifeline, right? It's very helpful when it comes to those burning questions. But as far as you're going to die if you don't do tarot, that is a complete farce. It's a tool to help you get to where you want to be. So let's keep that in mind. But it can be addicting. And I can speak on that from personal experience. one of my fears when it came to tarot when I started was getting addicted to it, because if you ask questions, you're gonna get answers. And so it gets to the point where it's like sometimes rather than go out and do something, it's a matter of, okay, I'm gonna just do these tarot cards to see what answers I get, And so when it comes to that, for me, what I realized helped me with that fear was balancing my behavior, balancing myself, so I could be more in control of tarot and not let tarot be in control of me. Okay, let's see. Another fear is, when you go get a reading that you're being taken advantage of. And for that one, I will say, like I said before, make sure that you are completely alert and aware. It's very important that you follow your intuition so you don't get in a trap. There are many times when we put ourselves in situations where our gut instinct is telling us no. However, we choose to go for it and realize the error of our ways. So to save yourself the heartache, if something does not feel right to you, if a reader does not feel right, if I don't feel right to you, it is nothing but a thing to say you're not doing it. Point blank, period. If a message comes that, actually before I say that, the next fear is cannot control messages, right? Again, when you ask a question, you're gonna get an answer. All the answers that you get are not going to be just beautiful cherry on top of an ice cream. Okay, it's not always going to be that. And so kind of wrapping this with the first part, it's very important that you are aware of the person that you're dealing with, but it's also important that you pay. If you're getting a reading from somebody, like let's say you didn't listen to your instinct, or your instincts didn't really tell you anything, and you're getting a reading from a person and they're just like, oh, you're gonna die a magnificent death in the year 2300. If it's very important that you're paying attention to that, okay? Make sure that you are paying attention to that. Personally, with this next one that talks about evil messages about death, personally, the messages that I've received about the future were normally and is normally just I guess you could kind of say a probability of what can happen based off, again, the current energies. So if the current energies are saying one thing, it's highly probable that that is what that outcome is going to be. However, energy is very fluid. So if something changes along the way, or the path changes, like basically if something changes along the way, it's things can be different. Okay, so if somebody's telling you you're gonna die a magnificent death, then da 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 da, it's very important that you pay attention to those messages. But again, not all messages that you receive in tarot are gonna be lovely unicorns, rainbows, and feathers. There are gonna be things that's gonna tell you about yourself and stuff like that. So you do have to be open to that. It's not always fun being told about yourself, but it's sometimes it's very necessary. Talking about from personal experience here. Okay, and this one actually fell under a stigma. And it was talking about tarot being associated with a specific religion or a belief. That is completely inaccurate. I was actually doing I was doing some research earlier today, and I saw there was a church that was doing like tarot events. So it's not limited. It was a Christian church too. So it's not limited to a specific religion or a belief. Again, this is a tool. You don't take a knife and say, this is only for the Mormons. This is only for the Muslims. Anybody can use a knife. In the same way, anybody can use tarot. All right, moving on. We are about halfway done. We're almost halfway done. Let's hop into pros and cons. I'm actually going to flip this around and start with the cons first. And this is from my personal experience. If you happen to have another viewpoint on this, I would love to hear it. I really would. So for me, some of the cons, uh, for myself, from stuff I've heard in the media and just from other people, these are a list of cons that I have. It can be addicting, right? You can get unwanted messages that can be overwhelming. Again, getting told about yourself is not fun, especially from the spiritual realm. Just saying. Um, you can be manipulated by those who do not have the best intention. Some people are just trying to make a quick buck. And if that's the case, most of the time, what they tell you gonna be BS. So that is the con. Um, and if you're doing a reading on yourself, or if somebody's doing a reading on you, there are times where the person cannot be in the right mindset. Like they can be having they can be simmering in negativity. And that same negativity is coming into the reading. So those are some major cons that I have acknowledged. I know there's more, I just can't think of any. But let's talk about some pros, right? Let's talk about some positives of tarot. You get guidance, okay? You get clarity, and you get messages that you need to know. And basically, I'm gonna talk about the burning questions a little bit here. There may be times where you just don't know what to do. You just don't have the answers that you need. And no one can help you. No one that you can see can help you. And at times, that's where tarot comes in. Because when you're looking at cards, especially I can speak on this because for myself, because I'm a visual person, there's times where, messages that I'm getting intuitively, I'm not really getting them. And until I start doing tarot. And then I do tarot and I'm like, that's what that feeling was. That's what that was about. Or this is what's going on. And so I guess you can kind of say tarot is like the sign language for the spiritual realm. I need to make a shirt like that. Tarot is the sign language for the spiritual realm. It gives you the opportunity to see what you're feeling, to see what you have been unable to verbalize. For me, that is a major pro because at times, sometimes you just have like that feeling. You're like, I don't know what's going on, but golly, something's going on. And sometimes it festers for weeks, days, weeks, months, years at a time until you get the answer. And then tarot, especially if that answer is something that it is ready for you to know. Once you start doing tarot, it's like ba da ba ba ba. It's like just laid out. So I kind of feel like it kind of helps save some time, as far as learning the lessons and translating the messages that the spiritual realm has for you. Um, that is why it can be addicting. Let's see. All right, another pro is actually being able to communicate with the spiritual realm. I don't know what your belief system is, but personally, I believe that there are many individuals within our spiritual hemisphere that are speaking to us. This can be animals, this can be ancestors, it can be angels, the list goes on. But as human beings, most of us cannot hear what they have to say. And so for me personally, that's how I communicate with them. And so for me, that is another pro of tarot. I didn't really start tapping into connecting with the spiritual realm until I started doing tarot. But I will tell you, it has made the biggest difference because for me, I believe that in the spiritual realm, there's an ancestral plane, which it consists of ancestors that I do know and I don't know. And how I see it is they have more knowledge than I do. So when it comes to an issue that I don't know how to solve or I'm unable to truly comprehend, I can communicate with them. And rather than me just talk out loud and sit there in silence, I can still talk out loud, but I can get those answers via tarot until I get to that next level of where I'm going spiritually. So those are just a few pros. And of course, if you have more, please don't hesitate to drop them below. I put a note here that tarot is like your unofficial Ouija board type energy. Just saying. I'm just saying. So, why should we do tarot? Why? Again, getting clarity. There's things that we are not able to understand on our own in this realm. And tarot opens the door for those that we can no longer see to communicate with us. Communication, that was another reason. The burning questions. I don't know about you, but if you've ever had a burning question, I mean, it's just something that stays on your mind all day and night. If you've ever had a burning question that you cannot seem to resolve, tarot, for me at least, has helped with getting those answers. And if you choose to do tarot, I would love to have my fingers crossed and hope that you get those burning questions answered as well. It gives you insight. You get a lot of insight on things that you would not have gotten on your own, because again, you're opening the door for infinite knowledge, infinite wisdom, not only on the spiritual realm, in the spiritual realm, but the universe. And the universe is a vast and full of information type of level. Like, you're opening yourself to levels that you could not experience just here on your own. Peace, because you're getting your burning questions answered. You're getting the clarity you need. Those questions are getting answered. You're reaching new levels sooner because of the clarity that you're receiving. Direction. It all kind of aligns, okay? if you're stuck, if you don't understand what's going on, that can help with direction. I don't know if y'all seen this, but I've been posting about what do we, I've been posting on almost all forms of social media that I have from my company, Empress Energy. If, like, what do you need to focus on in 2023 to live your best life, right? This is something that I posted. And for me personally, I do a reading on myself. Since I started doing readings, I've been doing that reading on myself monthly, actually, to make sure that I'm focusing on any blockages or anything that's holding me back from living my best life. And I have, in the past year alone, experienced tremendous growth. And it's to the point where I'm noticing that I'm at the point where it's not that I don't have healing to do. I still have healing to do, but I've hit that plateau where it's time for me to go up, right? And because of that, well, to get to that point, I needed direction, I needed guidance. And then to pass that, I still need direction, I still need guidance. And tarot allows me to open that door to my spiritual team to get the guidance that I need. And with that being said, that brings me to the last reason for doing tarot, is that allows you to align with the universe or God, whichever you prefer. It allows you to align with what you believe in, because you're at the point where you're not, or at least when you're doing tarot, which I will talk about in the tips, when you're doing tarot, if you're in the right type of mindset, you're blocking out the distractions of the world. You're opening your mind to focus on what is happening in that moment. You're silencing the physical world to hear the spiritual realm. And so by doing that, you're tapping into who you are as an infinite being, right? The universe embodied, and into all that we cannot see. So you can actually align and be more of who you are meant to be in this realm. I hope that made sense. I'm trying to keep it short and sweet. With that being said, and again, if you have any other reasons, if you have any stigmas, any fears, any pros and cons, any reasons for doing tarot, drop them down below. I would love to hear what you have to say. But now I'm going to wrap this up. I just want to go over some tips, okay? just to make sure that we're kind of clear on my recommendations when it comes to tarot. Whether I'm doing your reading, somebody else is doing your reading, or you're doing a reading on your stuff. Although it is not necessary, I highly recommend, with every fiber of my body and my hair, I highly recommend developing a ritual, aka a routine, to make sure that you're in that right mindset. And basically what I mean is, okay, how can I say this? On the day to day, we consume so much content from the world, right? And after consuming all that content, whether we're aware of it or not, there's a certain mindset that we have that's more physical realm-ish. It'll make sense if you start diving into your spirituality, trust me, it will. But it's more like being focused on material things, right? What we can see. And what happens is when you start doing tarot, or you start, getting readings done, it's like you have to leave that behind and see everything from a higher perspective. You're literally saying, okay, this is the physical realm. I want to connect on a spiritual level to the spiritual realm. And so I'm going to leave this here, and I'm going to elevate my mind to up here, right? Right? I'm going to elevate my mind to up here so I can get the messages that I need to hear. So you're basically, if we're talking in terms of chakras, you're basically leaving your root chakra, which is near your pelvic bone, in your pelvic region, and you're moving. Oh my gosh, I know what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to make it come out. You're leaving all of that down there, right? So just listen, just bear with me. This might sound silly, but we gonna make this work, okay? So a lot of people say that men think with their hoo-ha. Okay, so from a man's perspective, I can't even use women, okay? Basically, that's where your root chakra is, right? That is where your root chakra is. And what happens on the day-to-day is, when it comes to getting things done, it's like, I want to say it's from like your heart chakra. Your heart is right here, right? So everything down is more physical, right? So if we go down, right, we're looking at the physical. So neck up is spiritual. Heart down is more physical. So if we're looking at the root chakra, not the root, I'm sorry, the sacral chakra. Sacral chakra is the pelvic bone. The root chakra is your tailbone. Okay, so at least you know what a sacral chakra is. So let's start with the root. Okay, the root is your tailbone. That's like where your booty is, somewhere around there. So y'all don't judge me. Every day we are basically living from our heart down to our root, okay? So like boobs all the way down to the booty, okay? So normally I want to say by the end of the day, max, we're at the root, right? We just want to sit our ass down. So when you want to do a tarot, when you're doing anything spiritual, you're doing a tarot reading or something, you need to go from the booty to the top of your head and your third eye and your throat chakra. So let's say from the booty, we gotta get to the head. Okay, the booty, we gotta get to the head. I don't know how tall you are, but for me, I'm 5'9", so it's a long ways down for me. So I need to get mentally from my booty to my head, okay? Or if this helps, we can use the sacral example, where Men think with their whoo. So we got to take the brain from the whoo to the huh. We got to bring the brain back up here. And so with the routines, with the rituals, when you develop a ritual, when you're going to get a reading done, or you're going to do a reading on yourself, it helps you keep everything down there and help elevate your mind to up here, where up here it's less cluttered, or at least that's what we want to happen, is less clutter. It's your hair is like antenna. If you're bald, it's invisible. Your antennas are invisible, but your hair is like the antennas. And so by doing your rituals, you're getting your mind and your cellular device, your device ready to receive those messages. So that was like the longest explanation, but I hope that hope make sense, right? So it's not required, but I recommend it highly because it helps you leave the past, or it helps you leave the earthly things on earth and help you elevate your mind to a higher consciousness so you can be more aligned and hear the messages that are there for you. And some ways that you can actually develop a routine, and I'm sure you guys have heard this before, is like using sage, using cleansing items, and praying. Sage is something that you can use to cleanse. You can do whatever. Personally, this year I started I shop a lot at Bath and Body Works, and I noticed they had like room sprays that they sell, like Palo Santo. This one is white tea and sage. So I blessed this one, and what I do whenever I'm doing a reading or whatever is I spray it, and that symbolizes the cleansing of the space, which I did before I started this video. So it's pretty strong. I think I did it right in my face. But anyways, as I did that, in my mind, I'm cleansing the space. Anything that does not need to be here, anything that is gonna cause distraction, whatever, I'm gonna do what I need to do to put that aside, so on and so forth. So basically, however you choose to cleanse, you find what works for you when you do that. And while you're doing it, you set that intention. And you can also, while you're cleansing and you're setting your intention through your ritual, your routine, you can even get your mind ready with those questions, right? You can take the time to clear your mind via meditation, and then just start getting those questions ready, or focus on the answers that you need within that time before you even actually do the tarot or whatever spiritual practice you're going to do. Boom. Okay. So that's my first tip. My second tip is make sure that you vet anyone that you want to do a reading for you. The spiritual realm is not a joke. The same way I can sit here all day and talk about positive energies and good energies, there's also negative energies, and they can be heavy and they can be dark. It's very important that you are, if you're gonna vet somebody, if you're gonna get a reading from somebody, that you're checking them out. What type of energies do they bring to the table? What type of characteristics do they have? Do they have boundaries set? For example, I don't do readings every day. I don't do readings for the whole year. Like, there's times where I'm doing readings and there's times where I'm not doing readings, because as a reader, I have my own healing I need to do, right? So if I'm in the midst of going through bullshit in my life and I can't, get to a point where I feel confident that those energies that may be affecting me won't affect somebody else, I'm not going to do a reading for you. I'm not going to do that. And so it's very important that you're not, it's very important to look at the intentions of the people that's doing the reading. Ask them questions, talk to them, get more information. I might need to do a video getting some questions to ask your reader. This feels like deja vu. I'm writing this down, no questions ask a reader, just so we can, be on the same page. But it's important that if you're gonna get a reading done from somebody, that we don't know everything about everybody, right? But you are aware of at least their general energy, if you will, and that you're also paying attention to your intuition. If something feels iffy, normally most of the time something is iffy. And if that's the case, that is not somebody that you want tapping into your energy, especially if you're trying to be better as an individual or you're going through certain issues. Um, I was trying not to say this, but I got to say it. It's like having a physical relationship with somebody, right? I don't know if I've ever heard this or seen this, but they say, or what happens when you connect with somebody physically, you're not only messing with them, you're messing with the energies around them. And then when you disconnect, some of those energies will latch onto you. And will that be good energy or bad energy? And so the same way, that applies to readers. Anybody that's going to do anything spiritual to you or for you, it's very important that you are watching and you're paying attention to the type of energies that they have around them. Pay attention to how they make you feel, because if they have anything that sucks, that's going to come to you. And then, oh, this is going to sound so disturbing, but if you're not careful, you can literally have a spiritual orgy. And I think that's the way you say it, O-R-G-Y. You can literally have a spiritual orgy with people that you don't even know. Just think about it. If this person don't really care about what they're doing, they're like they're not experienced or they just don't care, they're tapping into your energy, doing whatever the fuck they do. But then who else did they do readings on before you? Or who are they gonna do readings on after you? So y'all literally just sharing spiritual fluids. And I don't know about you, but the same way they be talking about some, I need to see the Carfax before I buy this car. Like, what's good? We needs to know how you doing before you try to read on me. I got stories for that, and maybe I'll talk about one of them during my healing behind the scenes chapters. We'll see. All right. So far, some of the tips have been develop a routine / ritual. Vet whoever you want to do a reading on you. Make sure that you're using your intuition for yourself or for somebody else. Sorry, if you're doing a reading on yourself or somebody else is doing a reading for you, make sure that you're using your intuition. If something feels off, it normally is. And then the last tip that I put here is open your mind to the answers and messages that are for you. It does not mean much if you don't pay attention. And sometimes what you read, it comes in more layers than what is said at face value. So, with all that being said, just to sum it up nice and sweetly, this is why it's important to make sure that you're in the right mindset, because you could be getting important messages, but if you're not in that right mindset, if you didn't go from down there to up here, baby, you're going to miss a lot of messages. So it's very important to be in that right mindset, which is why I say it's not required, but I say it's absolutely necessary that you are in the right energy, or that you do a ritual before you get a reading or you do a reading. Let's see. So that is all that I have. We talked about stigmas about tarot, fears of tarot, pros and cons, reasons why you should do tarot, and some tips. I hope that this was very informational. I gave out as much information as I could, everything that came to me. So hopefully this brought some insight and answered some questions that you may have relating to tarot. If you're interested in doing tarot, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can find me on my company's website, EmpressEnergy.Life. You can send me a DM on Instagram at Empress.Energy, where the first two E's are actually threes. All the information will be in the description below. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me via my website, via social media, Instagram, Facebook, Reddit. Facebook is there. Twitter may be coming soon. If you do want a reading, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'll be more than happy to help you with that. If you have any questions, if you want to start doing tarot for yourself and you just need somebody to, kind of make it a little more comfortable, I got you, boo. But I think that is all that I have for today. Please like this video if you learned anything that can be helpful for you moving forward, and share this with anybody who may need to hear this content, and subscribe if you want to keep seeing my face and hearing what I have to share. Until next time, my lovelies, have a wonderful day.